Alright, so it's been a full month since I've been on camera because I've just been too busy to do any of my hobby work at home. But we're catching back up again. I want to talk about Watch Dogs, a game that everyone loves to praise, but I feel like some people missed a few beats on. Now, I'm going to lay down a little pavement work here, and I'm going to say that I've performed what some people would consider to be a cardinal sin in gaming. I did not start with one, as this is a theme across many other games that I've played, except this one was less than intentional, because I never really had any interest in the Watch Dogs series. That's just how it was for me, and one day, as I was randomly scrolling through games, it was free on Epic, and I was like, why not? Funny hacker game, I guess. Lo and behold, I did not know. Watch Dogs 2 was a hell of a lot of fun, and I was like, man, this could be great. They're making another one? Cool. And then they released Watch Dogs 3. I got it like 5 days after release, if that, and I hated it. Because they changed so much of the formula between 2 and 3. Now, the cardinal sin there being that I never played 1, I have just now played 1. Like last month when I recorded all this footage. And now looking at 1, looking back at my time with 2 and 3, I am left even more so confused as to why people want to, herald this game over the others. Now, I can see some of the points. Let's start at Square A. Aiden Pearce. Very decently written character. Has a good reason for wanting his revenge. And I already know for a fact the city of Chicago would never let anyone own any fully automatic rifles. I'm pretty sure Chicago at this point is attempting to be as gun-free as possible, so sorry, Watch Dogs fanboys, the future ruined that one for you guys. I know this game is past by a certain degree. I think this came out in 2010, 2012, somewhere in that little capsule before that was a thing. His motivations for wanting to hunt down the guys that killed his niece seem good. Unfortunately, having revenge be a feasible thing, this guy went from being a small-time gray hat hacker who was doing some harm to people by, stealing from bank accounts, yada yada, but mostly stealing from the rich and the inconsiderate, which is considered not so bad in the hacking community. He went from doing gray hat work to straight up murder. Now, me personally, I'm not in any crime syndicates. There's your Pinto of the day, I guess. But that's a pretty big gap to make from doing little work that will make you 100 to 200k to straight up murdering someone. Because I'm pretty sure straight up murdering someone costs a lot more than 100 to 200k. And it's not even like he murders 1 or 2 people the entire game. From the get-go, Aiden Pearce is set up to kill a lot of people. Not innocent people, mind you. He's a good guy, but he kills a lot of people. And I guess it's mostly optional. Unfortunately, most of the times the options are run away and get shot at until they go away, or just shoot the thing shooting at you. So, I guess it's self-defense if you really want to play the semantics game. I don't know. I find this to be confusing. More so over that when you get into Watch Dogs 2, they want to show you this thing hey, we are DedSec. We are hacktivists. We do good things with ethical hacking. Most times. And, everyone in DedSec, I want to say Wrench especially, were always like, man, Aiden Pearce, he's a real one. He was where it all really started from. He took down CTOS with the help of DedSec. Roll that past my ears again? The closest thing to DedSec that Aiden Pierce even touches is the phone that Clara gives to him. Aiden Pierce never really reached out to DedSec, nor did he ever want to be associated with them. I mean, in the last few minutes of my part 3 video, you can even hear the line that DedSec says, "We need 30 seconds to slip our code in this system," and Aiden's like, "No, I do not care. I could not be bothered to care. I do not give a shit." And DedSec's like, we won't forget this. How does DedSec go from being angry with Aiden Pierce and kind of belligerent to we get to Watch Dogs 2 in the San Francisco Bay with how fast information travels across the internet? You'd think the entire San Francisco Bay would be like, oh man, this whole sector of DedSec over here, we gotta hate Aiden Pierce now. Why? He just didn't want to give us easy access to CTOS. Like, I'm legitimately confused, because even when there's that whole thing in Watch Dogs 3 where they're going on about the whole Wrench and Aiden Pierce DLC, it's like, Wrench idolizes a guy who did the right-ish thing by trying to, get revenge for his niece dying, but at the same time, no. He did the wrongest things possible by absolutely mass murdering people, going through the CTOS city blackout, all that other stuff. Like, it's so weird to see a man that was so close to crossing the line of just being an absolute sociopath be praised. It's weird. Now, diverting ever so slightly from that, let's take a back look at how they did everything else. I personally, being from not too far away from Chicago, like from me to Chicago, maybe a 3.5 hour drive. And it is the Windy City. It rains a lot. And with it being a big rainy city like that, I feel like they almost got it correct. They had a few sequences where it'd be raining, lightning, really, thunder. But it wasn't as stormy as it usually is on the lower bay part of Lake Michigan. And hi, I love you, but not right now, Pin. So the weather system was a little off. Aside from that, they got everything else pretty well right. Like, the loop was terrifying and full of traffic. Downtown was just absolutely riddled with people. Whatever. And for what it's worth, they kind of got Pawnee right too. For anyone that has no point of reference for what the Midwest looks like, take Pawnee, just put it everywhere. That is the entire Midwest. We've got Chicago-esque cities. We've got like Minneapolis. We've got Chicago, Milwaukee, Green Bay. We got freaking Des Moines, Iowa. Any city that's a big enough city to be shown on a globe will be Chicago-esque in the sense that it's going to be big, bustling, full of people. Everywhere else that is in the Midwest, Pawnee. It's trees, fishing, bait shacks, and dive bars. That's all we got. That's the Midwest. So, I want to give a small round of applause to Goobysoft. You got it right. And, honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I kind of like the world design. More rain in Chicago? Yeah. Everything else? Pretty damn perfect. As for the story's plot? Question mark? It doesn't really track too often. There seems to be a reoccurring loop that I think Goobysoft has stolen from some of their other games, where it's, hey, X needs to get to Z. Y stands between that. So, X has to get to Y. Oh no, Y is slightly out of reach. X is going to have to do 3 to 4 tasks to get a little closer to Y. And it's a recurring theme that we could see going over and over and over and over and over. Like, I'm gonna say spoiler alert, but this game is old enough where if you have not played it, it is your own fault that I'm spoiling this for you. Aiden is hella convinced that the dude holding down the city block area, Iraq, and all of his goon squad are just real close to the top, if not the top, of where Aiden needs to go for this information to find out who he's been chasing this whole time. Not it. Oh man, the only way Aiden's gonna get into Bloom, find the infamous hacker Raymond Kenny, who, you know, flew the coop infamously after he performed a blackout. Oopsie, a blackout. And, oh man, this super elite hacker's gotta be hiding somewhere off the face of the earth. He's in Pawnee. Go find him in Pawnee. You go to find him? Oh man, X needs to get to Z, but Y stands in between it. What are we gonna do? You start wrecking it up in Pawnee until you find him, yada yada. The cycle continues all the way to the end of the game. And then when you finally find out who the big bad is, Lucky Quinn, you're like, oh man, X needs to get to Z. Y stands between it. It's just the loop. And if you were to go mission for mission and just speed run the game and not worry about doing all the CTOS locations and unlocking certain city districts, which I'm sure you'd have to do some of it to get progress in the story. I kind of just went out of my way to do it because it was there and it was easy. This game would not be very long, and the plot points would be very confusing if you weren't trying to become the vigilante. Now, with the side content in this game, it's a little different because there are certain things like poker games, digital trips, etc. that you can just, you know, go to and just participate in. Other stuff like fixer appointments or potential crimes, those just kind of happen randomly. And I kind of like that. It was definitely not the best implemented. There are some moments where it's like, hey, you're in the middle of this really high-speed chase trying to take down this person that's trying to get to your sister's other kid that isn't dead yet. By the way, there's a fixer job just over this way if you want to go save this person. Or, hey, that guy you passed, he's got information on a whole cash and drop. While that would be good, I'm not focused on looking at cash and drops or stopping potential other crimes while I'm actively stopping another crime. So there's some things that needed to be worked out there. And funny enough is they completely dropped that for Watch Dogs 2. That system does not exist. Now, I can see why it doesn't make sense to have it there because no one in Watch Dogs 2 San Francisco Bay Area claims to be the vigilante. But, you know, it's alright that they got rid of it. The perk progression system in the old games versus the new games, I don't know what I like more. There were definitely spots in the, you know, the Watch Dogs 1 where you'd be like, oh man, I really wish I could do blank. But it's like, no, that's locked until this certain point in the game. And you're like, alright, that kind of blows. The newer Watch Dogs, it's, hey, there's this random piece of technology you can go find in the world. If you can find it, we will let you have that tech early and steamroll the game. Like, it really is kind of like that. It is kind of that easy. I didn't feel hyper incentivized to do the random crime stuff because levels didn't really matter. I got enough levels doing the main storyline stuff where I didn't feel like I needed to be stronger. I feel like I need to just outthink my issues in certain points. Obviously, I kind of missed the bulletproofing until way too late. So I suffered for that many times over. Aside from the end of the game being a little fast to wrap conclusion, I didn't really see any problems with the game. I mean, it flowed pretty naturally. The XYZ combo got a little stale, but whatever. This was an experimental title at the time that was coming out of nowhere with no foundation. It was the foundation. So I want to give them props for what they did. And I want to give them further props for making it so much better in Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 1 did have some fun to it. Good to see some good old Midwestern representation there, but I don't think Aiden Pierce was really the badass he was kind of marked up to be in the other games. The other games talk him up like a real big game and stuff. Say that he was, so good for DedSec. He didn't want to be a part of DedSec. He was not a part of DedSec. He never wanted anything to really do with them. He wanted the means to the end. Some bastard killed his niece. He killed some bastard. Ends justify means for Aiden Pierce. He's a simple man. I will try to get my next videos created and uploaded before another month's time passes, since that's what happened here. But I don't know. I'm having fun finally getting to play all these games that like childhood me was either too broke or didn't have enough time for. Frankly, it was too broke. I had plenty of time as a kid. I'll be on next time with oh yeah, it's Assassin's Creed time after this. We'll be on that.